In a word, glee from supporters of Donald Trump.
Trump won! Trump won!
Everybody voted Trump. Everybody. No matter what color, what gender, everybody voted Trump.
Even in the bright blue state of New York.
And thank you, God. That's the first thing I said. Thank you, God.
The divine also invoked in this room, Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach, Florida, where thousands waited into the early hours of the morning.
President-elect Donald J. Trump.
To hear their hero claim victory.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond.
That movement now makes up a bit more than half of the country, with Donald Trump winning the popular vote for the first time, helping grow his broad coalition. A number of factors. Trump led Kamala Harris by a wide margin nationwide with Hispanic male voters. He also took a chunk out of the Democrats' significant black voter base. He tapped into widespread discontent about immigration and the economy.
Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Voters appeared undeterred by his criminal convictions and vulgar and divisive rhetoric.
We will not be invaded. We will not be occupied.
President Trump won on the message, won on the substance, and just outworked Kamala Harris.
In Dearborn, Michigan, the first Arab-American majority city in the U.S. where voters were angry over Joe Biden's Middle East policy, Trump won the vote with a sizable lead.
They could put more pressure on the Israel and the Arab, and they could go ahead and make the peace in this country.
That's just one in a long list of tall orders that Trump says he will deliver on in his second term.
Beautiful. It was a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense.
This world, this country will be watching to see if common sense will prevail in this comeback term for Trump.
All right, so Chris, what comes next now that the voters have spoken?
Well, it's expected that Trump will spend most, maybe some of his transition time here in Mar-a-Lago. So this could be Trump headquarters for a little while. Adrienne, in Washington tomorrow, Joe Biden will address the nation at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and he is expected to meet with Trump soon.
All right, Chris Reyes in West Palm Beach, Florida for us tonight. Thank you, Chris. Now, the Biden administration is already preparing for a transition, but many Kamala Harris supporters are still in shock tonight. Katie Simpson was at Howard University in Washington, where Harris addressed an assembled crowd and conceded defeat.
Kamala Harris steadied herself, trying to tap into that sense of joy she's so known for, to try to reassure her supporters.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted. Hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
The pain here remains raw, a mix of heartbreak, fear, and disappointment. Acceptance all the more difficult given who she lost to.
Now I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election.
In the hours after the vote count, Harris did the things candidates normally do. Behind closed doors, she called Donald Trump to concede, promising to facilitate a peaceful transfer of power. All while her supporters tried to process what they'd just witnessed.
It feels kind of heavy and depressing right now.
Sad and disappointed, but not shocked.
Why not shocked?
Because this is America, and we knew that she didn't necessarily have a chance. I don't think polls can account for racism and sexism.
But there had been hope just 24 hours earlier. Proud Harris supporters excitedly gathered to watch the results, a celebration that quickly shifted as the numbers trickled in. Just after midnight, people were told to go home. Harris would not speak after all, a sign the campaign knew it was over.
I'm most disappointed in a nation that has voted overwhelmingly for a man who is a manifest bigot, for a man who is an autocrat and a fascist.
Democrats now have the difficult task of figuring out what went wrong. The knives are out for Joe Biden, his messy exit from the race, leaving Harris with just over 100 days to make her case to voters. She also failed to distance herself enough from the deeply unpopular president.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
And even though Harris earned endorsements and raised over $1 billion, her message didn't cut through.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
Emphasizing fear about political violence and threats to democracy did not work, and the promise of restoring reproductive rights failed to win over white women voters. Harris lost ground in ways the party had not expected, a bitter reality check for Democrats when this moment seemed lost.
Harris tried to leave Democrats on a more hopeful note, saying that just because they lost the election doesn't mean the fight for the things they believe in ends. Sometimes that fight can just take a while. Adrienne.
So, Katie, we've all seen that you spent the last couple of months covering the campaigns, and I'm so curious what stands out to you in this moment.
There's a real sense of fear among Democrats. Losing is always difficult, Adrienne, but something about this moment feels so much different. We were standing watching Kamala Harris, and someone from the Harris-Walz campaign was right beside us, and she was crying, sobbing so intensely that her shirt was stained with tears. The reaction is so strong from these Democrats because they are so concerned about what Donald Trump campaigned on. Adrienne.
All right, Katie Simpson in Washington. Thanks, Katie. Now, even after the election was called early this morning, Donald Trump kept running up his win as more votes were counted. If you have a look at this, all of that red, including swing states like North Carolina and Georgia, more than enough. But what put Trump over last night was Wisconsin, along with Pennsylvania, and today Michigan, too. The supposed blue wall is what Democrats needed to hold. Instead, it just turned red. So bringing in Paul Hunter now. So Paul, as we heard, Democrats are really struggling, it seems, to process how this could happen. But you've been talking with Trump supporters since way back in 2016. His message clearly resonating with them even more now.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, look, this is America. In 3 words, is the explanation for last night. I mean, everybody knows who Donald Trump is, and he campaigned on. In a much darker way than he did in 2016. People listened to him and they said, right on, man, that's the America that I want. And go down the list: mass deportations, seal the border, fire Jack Smith, the special counsel, rethink climate, spending on the green agenda, rethink all that money that's going to Ukraine. And people say, yeah, that's the America that I want. It's not trickery, right? He won a majority of the vote. That's what this country is about right now. It's quite simple.
So as key as his messages were to them, right, that sunk in, that really hasn't changed, aside from being a bit darker. The country has changed, though. The circumstances in the United States are very different.
To take an old phrase and twist it a little bit, it's the economy, Kamala, right? And the Republicans understood that in a way it seems evident that Democratic Party rather, did not. By many counts, the economy, U.S. economy is humming along. Unemployment's down, stock market's up, but prices, post-inflation, are high, and people are hurting. And people blame the person in power, Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris is a part of that. That's politics, man, and they're going to take a chance on somebody who says it's going to be better. She broke it, I'll fix it. That resonated probably more than anything else Donald Trump said.
All right. Paul Hunter, thank you.